Hi, this is a presentation of what we have done in the third assignment of the course 2dv513. What we have built is actually a cost of life comparison between cities. So if you, for example, want to compare what a beer costs in, let's say, Gothenburg with Stockholm, or if you want to compare how much a large apartment costs in Sydney compared to Bangkok, it's possible. So what we have done is that we have found an API which provides us with lots of details on the average costs for things in cities. And by that information, we have created our own database with a desired table structure, which you can see here. So we have divided it into cities, countries, housing, and living costs. So housing and living costs are the actual tables where we store pricing. And countries was the first thing that we created while doing the application. And the reason why we have countries is for something that I will go through later. And cities, here we have all the cities listed, approximately 270. Each city is related to a country ID, and each city has a description and a name, and of course a city ID, which is later on related to housing and living costs. So if you take a look at the housing, here you see that they all have a city ID, which is of course relevant since they are connected to a city. And we have the prices for a large, medium, small apartment, and also a rent index. If we continue to the living cost details, they are also related to a city ID, and we have all the necessary details that we want to represent in our application. And we also have a view, of course, which is used later on to compare the average costs in the countries. So let's try the application out. Let's compare the costs in Bangkok with Beijing. So we get the description, and later on we get all pricing details for these cities. And we have also put a green, light and green background for all the costs that are cheaper in that specific country. And in the latest row, we also have a score where we combine all details that were the lowest in that country. So here we can clearly see that Bangkok is a lot less expensive than Beijing is. So here we can see that the cost for living in Bangkok is much cheaper in Bangkok than what it is in Beijing. And here is the button, Compare Average Cost in the Countries, where we take all the cities that are in Thailand and China, and we find out what the cost of a taxi and a cappuccino and all these details are in them. And then we take the average of all these values and represent them here in a similar table. So we can see that the average cost for a beer in Thailand is $183, and in China it's $107. So China is actually cheaper on taxis and beers, while Thailand is cheaper on the other parts. And this is here where we use the view. Thanks for me.